Thank you for downloading this in-ear entertainment podcast. You're listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets. Sonnet 48. How careful was I when I took my way, each trifle under truest bars to thrust, that to my use it might unused stay, from hands of falsehood in sure wards of trust. But thou, to whom my jewels trifles are, most worthy comfort, now my greatest grief, thou best of dearest, and mine only care, art left the prey of every vulgar thief. Thee have I not locked up in any chest, save where thou art not, though I feel thou art, within the gentle closure of my breast, from whence at pleasure thou mayst come and part, and even thence thou wilt be stol'n, I fear, for truth proves thievish, for a prize so dear. That was Sonnet 48 of Shakespeare's Sonnets. I'm Mark Chatterley, and you're listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets. I did that bit already. And I am joined, as always, I called him bearded last time. This time, he's got quite a nice swooshy haircut going on, and his name is...
Thierry Heles. I feel I should have shaved in between recording this, just run to the bathroom and quickly
chopped it all off. You do have very swooshy hair going on today. It's good. It's good. He's a charming, strapping lad. Is our Thierry? You should or track him down on Twitter and stare at his pictures.
That's wow.
That's what I recommend.
That doesn't sound dodgy at all.
No, not at all. We live in a world where pictures are public domain now. Anything, and Facebook and stuff like that has proven that. So yes. What do you think of Sonnet 48, Thierry? Because I'm sure you've done research on this one.
Obviously, I have been preparing this all morning, Mark.
Excellent. I've been sleeping all morning.
I have prepared it in my sleep. That's how I work. I dream about Shakespeare every Wednesday night.
That would be amazing. I'd love to dream of Shakespeare. I used to dream of Stephen Fry quite a lot. Whenever I get really, really, really stressed about a problem, I tend to dream of Stephen Fry, and he tells me how to solve the problem. It's very, very weird.
That's really strange.
Usually in the context of something else. So a lot of the times I'm lost in London, and because the tube system still boggles my mind. I don't go to London very often, and so I get lost in the tube system in my dreams. And I bump into Stephen Fry, and he's very nice and tells me where to go and where I should go and where I should change. But while doing that, also solves the problem that I've got in my life. It's lovely. He's a lovely man in my dreams.
Wow. I guess your subconscious sort of uses people that you would trust in real life.
Yeah, and I think I would trust Stephen Fry. Although, mainly because I see myself as kind of like Alan Davis-ish. If anyone's seen QI, Alan Davis is the kind of dim one on the panel, and Stephen Fry is the very, very clever one. Because Stephen Fry has the recording thing in his ear that tells him things. But I see our relationship like that. I'm too dim. And I think I'm at that level of dimness where Stephen Fry would just take pity on me. And would take me under his ring rather than just go, you're stupid, what are you doing with your life? So I think that's why I seek comfort in Stephen Fry.
Even without the recording bit, he is a fairly knowledgeable man.
He is. He's incredibly, incredibly clever man. I just meant that if anyone watching QI thought that's
the sort of relationship, the dim one and the incredibly clever one, that's just explaining everything to... This is how it works, and this is how the world looks to clever people.
And that's much how I see this relationship with me and you. That's why you're on this podcast. Is you're the Stephen Fry of this podcast. You know things.
Wow, I don't know. I'm not clever enough to even be remotely compared to Stephen Fry.
I'm not so sure. Anyhow, anyway, so this sonnet, it's got lots of trifles in it, which, if anyone knows British culture, is a very, very nice pudding that you don't need teeth to eat. Randomly, it's like jelly and sponge, and then custard, and then cream, and then hundreds and thousands of top with alcohol put in every layer, and it's lovely.
That's how you get through Christmas.
Yes, lots and lots of very alcoholic trifle. I had one at this Christmas, and when you because you use a big serving spoon, you dig out a big section, and then you eat that. When we did that, we'd had so much alcohol in it that the alcohol seeped out of all the layers, and we kind of had an alcohol well going on inside this trifle. It was amazing.
Wow.
But I don't think that's what they mean by trifle here.
I'm not... I didn't read to who my jewels trifles are.
I think they mean trifle in this kind of sense of in a bit of a pickle, in a bit of a odd situation or a confusing situation. I think.
I'm wondering whether the Let's go to dictionary.com because that's what professional we are.
We do that well with the American who will go trifle, and tell you how to pronounce it. But I think it's trifles are troubles and strife and other British idioms. It's kind of one of those. I think is what it is.
Oh, an article or thing of very little value.
Oh, okay. I was completely wrong. Okay.
Apparently that's the first meaning.
How careful was I when I took my way, each trifle under truest bars to thrust. But whom to whom my jewels trifles are. Oh, no, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So all of the things that he holds dear, to thou, but thou to whom my jewels trifles are. So what I hold dear, you don't. They're like trifling little things that you don't care about. Yes, that makes sense. Oh wow, that's okay. That makes this sonnet completely different. So is it in a way heading towards the fair youth not liking Shakespeare? Maybe.
I think it's more. I don't know. I read it as Shakespeare is dreading that someone might steal him away again.
Yes. Okay.
Thou best of dearest and mine only care are left the prey of every vulgar thief.
Yes.
And then he goes on about how you cannot lock him up in the chest.
But because he can't physically. Thee have I not locked up in any chest. Cause he physically hasn't done that. Save where thou art not. But though I feel thou art. Save where you aren't. And you're not actually physically within my chest. But I feel that's where you live. Within the gentle closure of my breast. So his feelings of love makes it feel like the fair youth lives within him. And we've had that imagery before of them being one person. But he's not actually there, and therefore he can't lock him up inside him. Which surely must be the most, if any secure place. If you have a safe and you put your things you want to keep safe in a safe, like a wall safe, you are always distant from it. They are there and you're further away. The safest place you could ever put something is inside you, because it's with you always. That would be the safest place to keep something. Which is, I guess, what Shakespeare wants to do with the fair youth. He wants to lock him up somewhere safe so that no one gets him. So does this link in talking about Sonnet 47 with we chatted about whether Shakespeare was making excuses for the fair youth having slept with this woman, and is this suggesting the woman was a thief and stole him and stole his love? That he didn't really want to do it.
I guess so. I'm not sure if he's specifically referring to the woman that stole him away, or rather, well, and what was it? We got through that, and then it was more the fact that Shakespeare wanted the woman as well.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
rather than stealing away the youth.
Yes, yeah, there was an aspect in that of Shakespeare liked this woman too, and liked the fair youth. And was upset that the fair youth had slept with the woman because he liked them both.
So I'm not sure. I read this just as a sort of general, someone might steal away. Not even necessarily someone I like too, just someone.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you'll be gone forever.
Because there must be an age gap going on here. I mean, Shakespeare would have been, by the age of these, 25, 26, 27, I guess, sort of coming up to his 30s. I think we worked it out once. And the fair youth, one is presuming, I'm very posh. One is presuming the fair youth is around adulthood, or when he would have been considered adult, which would have been around 13, 14.
He was 45 at the time, Shakespeare.
Wow, okay. And so even if the fair youth is in his 20s, which I think would be an incredibly high estimate of his age, there's still a big age gap there. So Shakespeare is aging. If we go back to the very first sonnets we had, he recognised that he was getting old, and the fair youth was getting older too. So as Shakespeare gets older, he becomes less desirable as a man and as a lover.
Well, I mean, 45 is pretty much near the. He died 7 years after writing these, so
Wow.
not that he knew that, but you would have been aware at that time that once you get close to 50, that's sort of the end of your life.
Yeah.
Most people didn't really live long past 50. Most people didn't make it long past 40.
That's scary. And what's scarier is we're heading towards a world where that's happening again. With our lovely ways of introducing heart disease and diabetes with our atrocious diets means that the average age length of life is reducing. It's bizarre.
We're still around 79, 80 in the first world, so
yeah.
We got a few years to lose.
And
but,
I did hear something interesting the other day, which suggested that while the average lifespan of humanity has always increased, it's not as if people back in Shakespeare's time never got above 50. There were people back then who lived to be 80, like there are today. It's just because more people died younger, it skews the statistics. So people still lived into their 60s, 70s, 80s, even in Shakespeare's time. It's just because more people died young, it drags the bell curve down. So yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting. If people out there going, no one in Shakespeare's time lived until they were 80, you're wrong. And
well, I'm fairly sure there have been quite a lot of dictators, old emperors, even before Christ, that lived quite long, like 70, 80 years old.
You say that as if there's evidence that Christ existed at any particular period in history.
I use it as a sort of measurement of time.
Okay. That's...
I'm not convinced that he ever was real, but
there's no
as a sort
for
of
it.
Let's before the Common Era. Let's use
yes,
that
I
one.
like Common Era. I don't know why we don't use it more.
Because Christians are, yeah. Well, we should not insult.
No. We
people.
should.
There might be lists, but their view is very dominant
in Western culture.
world.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, and I won't deny that. So So bringing it back to the sonnet, because I like to do that when we have our little rants. Is bring it back. Is that I think Shakespeare's getting scared in this sonnet. He's scared that someone's going to come in and steal the youth. He's getting older. The youth is, but not at sort of it's the same rate. I know it's the same physical rate, but young people don't age as much as old people age. If that makes any sense to anyone else.
Well, I guess the fair youth would have been late teens, around 20-ish.
Maybe. I would peg the fair youth a bit younger than that.
As in around 15.
I think it'd be very odd for a male to not be in a relationship and having children in their 20s.
I guess, yeah, they were quite...
Which is very odd. You'd expect people to be getting married 13, 14 kind of age.
Is this sort of turning into a Thomas Mann old guy lusting after a young 12-year-old boy?
Well, there is, and all the sonnets have that kind of overarching feeling to them. But I suppose at the time, that wasn't considered paedophilia or
fairly normal.
pederasty.
Yeah.
It would have been normal, and it's just how cultural norms shift. If I, as a 29-year-old, was to start dating a 13-year-old, that would be hugely wrong. Hugely wrong. And in fact, in my mind, me dating an 18-year-old, even though that's 2 years over the legal limit, is still hugely wrong because they're kids. But in Shakespearean time, you weren't considered a kid. You weren't considered a kid at 13. You were an adult, and you had a job, and you brought an income in. So it's, I guess, fair game.
It's just fairly, because I never, up until this point, I knew the fair youth was young, but I never really, in my mind, he was never really a 12 or a 13-year-old.
Maybe I'm totally wrong. I could be totally wrong, and
your argument makes sense.
That
it's just I never really,
because we normalise it.
That changes. Yeah,
we put our own culture onto these things is what happens. But yeah, I'm fairly convinced the fair youth would be young for us. But if someone out there knows better, if there are any Shakespeare historians or scholars and listening to this podcast just for laughs, Let us know. Please do let us know. I like getting mail from people, and I like people tweeting me. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm quite happy to be wrong. I've lived my whole life being wrong. I don't know what that accent was, but yes. So I quite like this. I quite like this sonnet. It's a nice one. It's got a nice patter to it as well.
It is a nice. I mean, it's a fairly basic idea that he just creates into this extended metaphor. There's not many other ideas in this one, but
no,
it's quite a nice idea that you want to lock up the person that you love in your chest and keep them safe from
yes,
from being stolen away.
And I suppose apart from your head, your chest is probably the safest part on your body, or the really soft.
Would they have known? Well, yeah, I guess the heart at the time, they were still convinced that that's where the feelings are.
Yeah, and they would have had a basic understanding of anatomy, even if they didn't know what the organs did. They would have known. I mean, the liver was there. They would have named them all, I think.
Mm. Well, this was after Da Vinci, so yeah, they would have known anatomy.
They were the grim, grim, horrible stuff. I'm lucky I'm clockwork on the inside. So I'm convinced I'm clockwork because I don't want that gooey, horrible stuff inside me. Would you like to read this one out? Because, like you say, there isn't a lot to talk about, and it's very interesting. I find the sonnets that they tend to go from one that's incredibly deep and complex with multiple layers to ones like this, which is just an extended metaphor. It's quite an interesting swing. There doesn't seem to be kind of a middle ground.
It gives us a chance to go on tangents.
Yes, exactly. Which
not that the complex ones are stopping us from doing that.
No. Someone did tell me that they liked our tangents the other day, which I thought was quite nice. I don't know if they were lying, but I'm going to go with it was nice.
That's the truth we shall accept.
Exactly. You go ahead and read Sonnet 48.
I'll read us, yeah. Sonnet 48. How careful was I when I took my way, each trifle under truest bars to thrust, that to my use it might unused stay from hands of falsehood in sure wars of trust. But thou, to whom my jewels trifles are, most worthy comfort, now my greatest grief, thou best of dearest, and mine only care, are left the prey of every vulgar thief. Thee have I not locked up in any chest, safe where thou art not, though I feel thou art, within the gentle closure of my breast, from whence at pleasure thou mayst come and part. And even thence thou wilt be stolen, I fear, for truth proves thievish for a price so dear.
That was nearly. That was like 98% of Sonnet 48 there. That was of Shakespeare's sonnets. Thank you for joining us again. I've been Mark Chatterley, and you can follow me on Twitter at Nufkin.
I've been Thierry Heles, and you can follow me on Twitter at Sound of Seagulls.
And we will see you again next week for Sonnet 49.
Goodbye.
Bye. You've been listening to Shakespeare Sonnets with Mark Chatterley and Thierry Heles. This has been an In-Ear Entertainment podcast. To listen to other podcasts or find out more about In-Ear Entertainment, go to www.inearentertainment.com.